Hello, welcome to episode 8 of Knitting Not Screaming, my little podcast about crafting, mainly about knitting, but sometimes I will throw in other things. Now, thank you very much for joining me. First of all, I want to say I'm feeling a bit tetchy because this is at least my 4th go at recording this. Oh, I'm so annoyed with myself. I recorded it once outside in the garden, beautiful day, lovely sunshine. Somehow I completely forgot that I live really near a busy road. I actually live near the A3, which is quite noisy, and when I played it back I recorded the whole thing, you know, when everything just goes really well, and I played it back and all you could hear was a traffic noise. So annoying. Then I recorded it again indoors and that was fine until I ran out of memory on my, I record on my tablet, it doesn't have much memory, so I had to go and buy an SD card, and then transferring that into the editing software, I lost what I was doing. I recorded it again yesterday and I recorded it indoors and that was all fine. Put it in the editing software, played it back, and I'd recorded with just a window open a little bit in this room. This is my spare room, and all you could hear was a traffic noise. So I'm a bit miffed with myself, and if this doesn't work, then I see there's a siren now. I hope you can't hear that. Well, if you can hear it, we'll just plough through because it won't go on forever, will it? Anyway, let's start with finished objects in traditional pod style way. Last time I saw you I was making a Sophie scarf for a colleague at work. When I say colleague, she is the person who is retiring, whose job I've taken over, and she's a really lovely woman. So in the in-betweeny time between me going to her for a handover and me being offered the job and then doing the handover, she'd had a birthday, so I made her a Sophie scarf, and I made it from, oh, let me just, I can't show it to you obviously because I've given it to her. It was a while ago now, but I can show you a picture. There we go. Boop. It's in this nice sort of burgundy reddy kind of colour. I saw someone else on Instagram had done this thing of rolling it up like a croissant, and I thought that was super cute, so I've done that too. Yeah, the second picture doesn't really show you anything more, does it? She seemed really happy with it. I hope she was. Obviously I've given it to her at completely the wrong time of year for wearing warm little woolen scarves, but she can hold on to it until later in the year, can't she? But I mean, you do get chilly days, don't you? So maybe she'll get somewhere out of it. Got my little notebook. I shouldn't have to refer to this notebook. Having recorded this about 4 times already, I should be able to just plough straight through, but no, I cannot. Oh, I have had a bit of a mare, must be said. I finally finished my hardware jumper and I'm wearing it, and I've had to close all the windows and the doors, so, and it's June, so if I'm roasting I'll pause it and take this off. So far I'm okay. Like I mentioned before, I had a bit of a nightmare of my own making with this, where I did something horrifically wrong with the armholes, sleeves not matching up, and in the end I just sewed the whole thing up and I just picked up stitches around the armhole and just did my own thing, and it's worked out fine. I mean, I think I've picked up too many stitches. I'm quite baggy here, but I like that sort of big armhole depth thing, and I think because I'm quite busty as well, it kind of gives you a bit more room to be busty in. Here it is. I'll stand up and show you. I think it's a really nice fit. Oh, I might step back a little bit. I like the way it fits. I love the planned ladders in it. When I look at this on my screen, oh look, you can see my shirt's got little swans all over it, and you can see one through. See, isn't that cute? And there's ladders on the back, and they're on the cuffs. And when I bought the yarn and the pattern, it was when Eric and I was doing a pop-up in a shop called Stag and Bow in London, and she did say at the time, once you've made this, you will want to put ladders in absolutely everything, and I do. I just really want to make another one. The yarn is Erica Knight's, what was it called? I think it's just called British Wool, and I don't think she makes it anymore. This one, this colour is Regent's Park, and it's really beautiful, rich, sort of tealy, more towards the green side of teal, I'd say. And it's lovely to knit with. I've blocked it, and it bloomed beautifully. And even though I'd pulled the sleeves back and reknit them, on one of the sleeves I was so miffed that I didn't even bother to wash the yarn and make it. I just knitted it when the yarn was all crinkly, and it still has gone really well. So yeah, I'm super happy with it, and I would definitely make another one. And just, at least now I know that if I stuff up the armholes again, the armhole sleeve combo again, that my little mod works, and you end up with a nice jumper. So yeah, I probably would make another one of these, but I mean, there's also that thing of I've got 10 million things that I want to make, so the chances of this getting back to the top of the list again in my lifetime, bearing in mind I'm in my early 50s, not that high, but I really would recommend it. I have some things that I've made for my shop, but I might put them in at the end, because I know this isn't really a podcast about my shop, so I know maybe some people get irritated by that, so I'll put it in at the end, and then you've got the opportunity to just hit stop at that point. I'll flag it up when it's coming. Because apart from that, I've made, the only things I've finished are things for my shop, and I did make, see that in the corner, that's a gin poodle. That's what my Etsy shop is called, Gin Poodle. That's your kind of 60s 70s kitsch. I'll show it to you. Now, you know those sort of 60s 70s kitsch poodle bottle cozies? I've kind of reworked the pattern and made them more silly. And this is a gin poodle. But even making this with a body, the head, 10 pom-poms on this fella, 10 of them, you still end up with a fair amount of yarn left at the end. Not like tons and tons, but enough that you don't want to kind of just, I don't want to throw yarn away at the best of times, but you end up with a nice amount left, but not enough to really do anything. Like, you couldn't make a pair of gloves or use it for colour work in a yoke or anything, and I make those out of acrylic anyway, because they're going into people's homes as kitsch decoration, so they could get slung in a washing machine, and I don't want to risk them getting ruined first wash. So I end up just having tons of just little odds and ends of yarn that I don't really know what I'm going to do with, and I'm not a massive fan of scrappy projects. Not really much. See this habitation throw I made that ages ago, and I made it out of a set of minis. Sorry, my phone's beeping with my partner sending me a video, so it'll be some sort of car thing. Not that you care. Anyway, I made that habitation throw out of a set of minis, and to me that's still too leery for me. It's not really my cup of tea. So scrappy projects I do struggle a bit with. They're okay for socks. I don't really need any more socks. Does need matter? No. But don't really know what to do with them. And especially like DK acrylic, really don't know what to do with. I could take it to, I go to a knitting group, mixed craft group on Tuesdays. And I could take it there and just put it in the table for donations. But they're not really bits that are big enough for anyone to do a whole project with, so, and I also kind of feel like I want to do something with them, so I like the colours. But anyway, I'm waffling on about a problem I've actually already solved. for years I've been having all these like little bits and bobs all over the place, and they drive me mental. But a few years ago, one of the, do you know Unravel, the Yarn Festival Unravel at Farnham in Surrey? That's not too far from here. I live down towards the south coast, not too far from Portsmouth, about 10 miles inland. So Unravel's my nearest yarn festival, and I absolutely love it. And one year there's like a cafe area just by the entrance, and they had on there printouts of a heart pattern to make these little knitted hearts, and I made one while I was there, and I took a copy. Well, I photographed the pattern, and I can't remember who the designer was, but there's tons of patterns for little hearts on Ravelry, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. I mean, you can crochet them, knit them, whatever. But I really like this. This is just a little puffy, squishy heart, and it uses up just like a really small amount of yarn, probably, you know, just a few grams really. And I filled it with toy stuffing, and I thought that would be a really cute thing. So you can either give it to someone as a little kind of I love you, I'm thinking of you thing, and it's so squishy you could pop it in your pocket, and then when you're feeling a bit, when you're having a bit of a bad day, you can just give it a little squish and just feel a little bit better and think about the person who loves you. Or you could just put them, I'm thinking of putting mine just like having a little bowl full of them. I just think that'd be a really pleasing thing, wouldn't it? Just like a little, I might buy a bowl from like a charity shop, like a really decorative bowl, and then just fill it with like little knitted hearts, and I think that would be super cute. I don't know. I mean, part of me is always tempted to put things for sale in my Etsy shop, but it's not my pattern, so I don't really feel like I can do that. But yeah, I think having a bowl full of knitted hearts would be, especially little puffy squishy ones, I think that would be really cute. So I might do that. I think I probably will. Now, my whips. Now I've got a plan with whips. I never used to care about finishing things. I like having loads of whips, and I know that stresses some people out. Not me. I like having loads and loads of projects on the go. When I fancy doing something, I'll just cast it on. If I've got an empty project bag, it needs a project. But recently, only this year, I've started finishing the odd thing, making an effort to finish the odd thing, and quite enjoyable. Actually, it turns out actually having the thing is quite a nice feeling. So I made the effort to finish this jumper, which I think I bought the pattern yarn for maybe 2016-17. It was at one of the Great London Yarn Crawls, which they don't do anymore, mainly because one of the people that organised it emigrated to America or Canada or somewhere over that way, and the other person now works for a travel company and goes off on knitting cruises around the world. So not a lot of time, I expect, she's got for. And it was a thing she did with her mate as well, and they were brilliant. But they've not done those for years and years, so God knows how old this project was. But I finally finished it, and I love it, and it's a nice feeling. And I finished my Sophie scarf, and I enjoyed finishing that. So now what I'm trying to do is, in the daytime, I have a part-time job that I only really do first thing in the morning. And then the rest of the day I work on making things for my Etsy shop. But in the evening I have personal projects that I work on, and I'm going to have, in the daytime I'll work on, mainly I make snoods for my shop. So I'll be working on whatever snood. I always do a black one and then some other colour. And then I also work on a vintage knit, which I'll show you in a minute. And then in the evenings, or I'll be sewing project bags. And then in the evenings, I work on my personal stuff. So, at the moment, shall we do daytime things first? I think we will, yeah, makes sense, doesn't it? I won't bother showing you the snood that I'm working on, because it's, you know, it's just a bit of crochet net. I can show you kind of the colour. Is this one. That's all colour chart things all gone all skewy. That's what I'm doing next. say next, now, I'm doing it now, except not now, downstairs now. I am making, this is the finished back piece. This is called, I think it's called a Sporty Sweater. Anyway, it's an original 1940s pattern, and it's all moss stitch and cables, neither of which are my favourite thing, but it's such a nice pattern that I just really wanted to make it. It's not even my size. That's the problem with vintage patterns. A lot of them come up as one size only, and I think they just assume that you've got the skills to size it up or down as need be, and I don't really. It's from this book, Practical Knitting Illustrated. It's absolutely lovely. You can get copies of this on Etsy and eBay. They do come up, not very expensive. Lots of patterns inside. Mine was a present to someone called Eileen in, oh, I can't get it in there. That's it. Mine was a present to someone called Eileen in 1946. 1946. So that just makes it extra special to me. Yeah, sports jersey. This is what it will look like. I mean, it's lovely, isn't it? It's such a nice thing. And this has been on my needles for a very long time too, because moss stitch and cables. But this has now jumped forward in my great scheme of getting stuff done. And I have done the back, and I've just started the front. And when I do vintage knit, I use the imperial size needles, called Tour in the Pattern, or you know, whatever's closest to get gauge. But because I find that the metric equivalents aren't the same, and I personally like the feel of using vintage needles for a vintage project. Just, you don't need, I mean, there's no need to do it, but as long as you get gauge, and you use whatever you want. But I just like that whole, keeping the whole thing in a vintage thing. So this yarn, which is absolutely lovely, is an affordable, that's better, you can see it better, oh, that's good, that's a good show of the colour. That's an affordable yarn. That is King Cole. It says, oh god, look how scruffy that is. King Cole's Anti-Tickle Merino Blend. And I think, you get 500 grams of it, which is about 1800 metres. And I think I only paid about £20–25 maybe tops for that, which is really good value. I think it was about £20. It's really good value. I won't use anywhere near 500 grams for that. And I've still got two. I wind it off the cone into balls because I just find a cone not that attractive to work with, and it's a bit awkward. You can't really, doesn't make the project very portable, and it's a bit clunky, I think, to use that. I mean, I know a lot of people really love knitting straight off the cone, but I feel like it, the yarn is quite squished when it's on the cone, and I think once you've wound it off onto a ball, into a cake, it gives it a chance to relax a bit. I mean, the yarn is a tiny bit splitty. It is 100% merino, but it is a superwash merino, so that makes it better for me, because this is something that's going to go in my Etsy shop. And although I give people washing instructions, you can't always trust people to follow them, and I think superwash gives me the best possibility of the buyer not ruining it on the first wash. It's gutting when you have put so much time into making something and you sell it to someone and they absolutely love it, they're really excited by it, and they wear it and they're putting pictures on Instagram, it's lovely, and then a few months down the line you find they chucked it in the washing machine or in the tumble dryer and it's completely ruined. And I just think it's really sad. I think if you're into vintage stuff, you should really know how to look after clothes. But yeah, I know I have to let things go. Once they've left me, I have to let them go. But I find it quite disappointing when, oh, excuse me, Just dropped my tablet. See, that's me. Oh, that's me thumping about but annoyed. That's it. Is that right? Oh, sorry about this. See, it's not usually this much of a shambles. It's because there's something about this episode where just things go wrong. Constantly. Things constantly going wrong. I'm going to put something else under there to prop that up. Honestly, my day. So, my evening project, what I'm next trying to finish, are my broken seed stitch socks. Now, I'm pretty sure I've talked to you about these before. I used to go to, do you remember the shop I Knit London? A lovely little knitting shop that was right by Waterloo Station. I mean, it's not been with us for years now. Knocked down to build another hotel. Of course, we need those, don't we? And I loved that shop, and I loved their knit night, and the people used to go, and it was really good. And there was someone there she was making some broken seed stitch socks, and I'd never heard of them before, and I wasn't familiar with the stitch, and they just looked super pretty, but looked quite like it'd be quite a difficult pattern to me. And when I found the pattern, she told me what the pattern was. When I looked it up and saw what it was, it's so easy. So I finally got around to wanting to finish one. I'm making, look at that, with rainbow yarn. Look at the bottom. See, it's just literally, you just stripe 2 colours. I've got one variegated. This is an opal yarn, and it's got stellina in, so it's sparkly. I would say sparkly is probably wasted on these because you don't really see the sparkle when it's mixed in with the other colour. The other colour is, oh, look how messy my yarn is. It's because it's been knocking around for years. This is just West Yorkshire Spinners, just their normal signature sock yarn, 4-ply, in milk, which is either undyed or it's dyed white. I know sometimes, I think it might be undyed, because I know sometimes yarn dyes, when they have trouble getting hold of yarn from their suppliers, like in the pandemics, I think people were struggling to get supplies. Sometimes people buy that yarn because you can dye it really easily. Yeah, I mean, it'd be way more expensive, wouldn't it? But I suppose in a pinch. So yeah, really happy with those, and I have nearly finished the second sock. This needle cozy, this is from a seller on Etsy called Pickle Lily, and I really love these. These are brilliant. I bought this one for the Strictly Sock Along because it's, you know, sort of disco sparkles. Yeah, I'm about 3/4 of the way down the foot on this one, so I should have a finished pair of socks to show you next time. Super happy with those. And I think, looking at the stripes underneath, I think I like that better. I mean, obviously when you knit the second sock, it always comes out better than the first one. It's a bit annoying. I'm really bad at doing the transition for the pattern on the side. Look how bad mine is at the end of my round. I don't know why. I think it's because I've been pulling the yarn too tight there. Anyway, you won't really see it when it's under my trousers, will you? So I'm really happy with those. But I think the next pair of socks I do, because I'm not going to use up all of this by a long way, and I think I might make a pair of like super shorties for wearing under my Vans, because my Vans grab my feet a little bit. I might make a pair of like really super short socks and just stripe them, because I've realised how much, well, I've reminded myself how much I like stripes. That's what I'll do with that. Now, my other constant whip, my year-long project. Last year my year-long project was making mini advent jumpers, that on Carlos ones, and that was, to be honest, that was quite a lot of work. I got a little bit behind with it and ended up having to make 2 a month, and it became a bit of a chore in the end. But now that they're done and I have them, I absolutely love them, and it was well worth doing. This is my temperature scarf. Mine is based basically on, I didn't want to do a blanket because I don't really use them. And I don't have anyone to give one to, and I want to keep this thing. So I've made a scarf, but my scarf is going to be so enormously long, I don't even know if it'll be wearable. But I love it, and I'm already decided that I definitely want to make another one next year. So, sorry, a little bit of clonking of the old needles. So this was, oh, should we see how long it is? Woo. Where I've put in a little project, a little progress keeper, that's the end of a month. So here we are in, that was April, and then from April we're in, I've just finished May, obviously it being June. I'm a genius, aren't I, like that? Who'll work that out with if I can't say it out loud? Noticeably warmer. So the grey, I'm getting through a lot of grey. The yarn I'm using is Adriafil Mirage DK, and it comes in, well, I get it from My Yarnery in Havant, which is a town just down the way. And it comes, they have only got it in 50 gram balls. I don't know if it only comes in 50 gram balls, but it's working out to be quite expensive because I'm using so much of the grey. I think I've had to go and buy 2 more balls recently, so that's taken me up to 4 just in the grey now. But perhaps with the other colours, the warmer colours, I probably won't need an awful lot of those. So it's just the grey really. So when I do next year's, I might swap out to a different yarn brand and buy something that I can buy a big ball of. Anyway, let's not worry about next year too much. So I do coolest temperature and warmest temperature of the day. So we start off with grey is like you're below 10, and then the green is I think the 11 to 4. No, it's below 10 is the grey. Anyway, whatever. And then the sort of 10 to 15ish is the green, and the 15 to 19 rather is the yellow. For those are the green's more like sort of spring mornings when you still kind of need to wear a jacket when you go out, but it is a nice bright day. The yellow is a nice sunny day, and then the blue is you can definitely go paddling. And we've even had some days where the overnight temperature was green, was in double digits basically. So that just shows how much it's warming up, and that was May. Oh, look how great that looks, if I say so myself. But it is going to be super, super long. I still need to find a label. It says, I'm in two minds. You can buy vegan leather labels that I could sew on, which would be quite sweet. I mean, that would look quite, you know, sensible. But I'm also quite keen on the idea of just writing the year on a piece of ribbon in some sort of indelible fabric pen. I've got a lot of fabric pens and paints and things, so yeah, it would make more sense to do that, wouldn't it? Just do that, Tess. You don't need to buy more stuff. Try not to buy so much stuff. I've got stuff. God knows I've got stuff. So I've shown you my jumper. I've shown you my tip and my socks. So I think that should be it. Well, that should be it for whips. But at my knitting group, they're making a basket of knitted vegetables for Harvest Festival. So a bit of time to get it done. And I volunteered to make asparagus. It's a bit pathetic, isn't it? And it's all ends, so you can't really see what I've done. But yeah, this is just the first one. I'll show you when they're done and stuffed, because that's not really much worth looking at. That's another, I think that's another pickle. Yeah, that's another pickle lily thing. For I knit on DPNs, but I make, well, actually I knit on everything. I do magic loop, I do DPNs, I do small circulars. I try it all, but DPNs are probably my favourite. And I love those little cases because nothing gets knocked off the end. And she's on Etsy. I'll link her somewhere. So that is it for WIPs. That's not bad, is it? Look at that, we're half an hour in. Not too bad. Purchases. Well, I bought the grey yarn for that temperature scarf, and I haven't actually bought anything else yarn wise or fabric, nothing like that. So that's quite restrained for me, even though I have been into a yarn shop, 2 yarn shops. That's all I bought. I have been to Seeded, lovely Seeded down at Southsea. Southsea is very near Portsmouth. In fact, it's walking distance from Portsmouth town centre, and it's like the really nice bit of the coast along there. And there's a lovely shop there called Seeded, and it's a mixed yarn, haberdashery, you know, fabrics and all kinds of things in there. I do have quite a lot of yarn, but they also do sell sewing patterns. And I bought 2 because I'm going to Revival this year, of course. And although that's not until September, I feel like September's going to run up and wallop me in no time at all. So I want to make an outfit. I have got vintage outfits that I could wear, but I feel like replacing my shop bought clothes as they wear out with homemade things. So I have bought your classic pencil skirt pattern. Super simple. They did have, I want a pair of like straight leg trousers I can have like a cropped length and full length, and they had the perfect ones there, but they didn't have the pattern in my size, so it was a bit disappointing, but hopefully I'll keep an eye on it, and you know, maybe another one will come in. And also I bought a pattern for this lovely top, which is one of those ones where it's a Simplicity, you can see it's Simplicity pattern, where they reissue a vintage pattern. And it's super simple. You're basically just making this big square and with an opening for your head and for your arms, and then you wrap it around yourself. You see, you kind of basically wrap it around yourself and tuck it in. I don't know that that's going to suit me, and it's jersey, which is not my favourite thing to sew with. But we'll give it a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Because I've also got somewhere, I've got a really nice shirt pattern with slightly sort of dolman sleeves, which I think will be lovely. I've started using Vinted. I know I'm very late to the game with Vinted, but I get fed up with too many apps on my phone. But I'm a convert. I mean, I'm being better about, I buy things, I don't like trying things on in changing rooms, so I tend to buy things and it just sits in my wardrobe forever and doesn't necessarily get worn. Or I'll buy things and I'll wear them and they don't really suit me, but I like the colour and I like the style, but then I'll catch my reflection and think, oh gosh, that really doesn't work, because I'm quite busty, but I like quite a loose fit. But that's a really fine balance thing, because unless you have an outfit that sort of cuts in under your bust, the top, it hangs straight down from your fullest bust point. So sometimes I just look like I'm wearing a marquee, and I know I shouldn't. Well, I don't say I shouldn't. I think it's up to you how you feel, how you look in your clothes, and as much as you shouldn't let anyone else make you feel unattractive. I did have, like, there was one top where this really awful, I mean, awful person who I don't respect their opinion at all on anything, but someone made like a really sort of catty comment about my breasts at work, not my current job obviously, at work, and it was basically, it was a top that was quite full and it hung down in front, and yeah, I was quite embarrassed. And when I got home, I looked at that top and I thought, well, actually, no, I don't think that's very flattering on me. So I put that on Vinted and it sold straight away. I've also bought a couple of bits off Vinted, and I love that kind of buying second-hand clothes. It's all part of, you know, the reuse, recycle ethos, isn't it? And that's, I mean, when I make my snoods, I quite often buy, I try and buy vintage yarns. I mean, there's a craft charity shop in this town. You know, I don't know if you've heard of them, it might be a local thing. There's a hospice called the Rowans, and they have their own charity shops. And I mean, it was a bit naughty because I opened one a few doors down from a local yarn store, little independent traders that have been going for donkeys, and they opened their cut price crafts shop just a few doors down, which was not ideal, but they do have, when people move out of their homes, they downsize or perhaps go into care or a hospice, and family members don't really know what to do with their craft stash, and I worry that sometimes that stuff goes into landfill or it'll go to a charity shop that doesn't really know what to do with them. But the Rowans gathers, they've got one in, I think, in Lyndhurst, somewhere New Foresty way as well, and they collect together the craft things and they send them to their specific craft charity shops. So you can buy some really brilliant vintage yarns in there. I mean, a lot of it's modern stuff, but sometimes we come across like really cool things. I like doing that because, yeah, secondhand is good, right? Good. I don't know where I was going with that. I've gone completely off piste. What was I on about? Oh well, can't really matter, can it? Let me have a little look at my notes, if there's any clue there. Probably not. No, sorry. I think I was just talking about selling things on Vinted. Anyway, I've sold a beach cover up. I'm not going on holiday. So I've got to go out and post that later. Yeah, I think that was it. Just started waffling on about Vinted. Oh yeah, no, I bought these hair flowers. Oh my gosh, they're so nice. Just to tuck in your hair to embellish your snood. So I'm imagining myself at Revival this year with like hair flowers and a me made outfit, and then I can do me made May next year, and this whole idea makes me very happy. I don't know how long it will last, but at the moment that idea is making me very happy. So now I've got only things to talk to you now are really sort of like personal stuff. What I've been doing, what I've been reading, watching, listening to, cut a little bits of my shop, but that bit will be small. So if you don't want to hear me waffle on about personal things, other than the knitting, this makes me sad, but I understand, and I hope to see you again soon. So toodaloo if you're not into that, but I hope you do stick around, because, you know, I'm a person with more interests than just 2 sticks and twine, and you are as well, and hopefully we can recommend things to each other. So for books, oh, I had that awkward thing. Someone recommended a book to me, which I always find a little bit awkward, because if you don't like the book and they really liked it, it's a little bit, I don't know, I feel a bit bad about giving it back and saying, not really my cup of tea, because I've lent it to you because I think it's such a cracking read. And that's what happened to me recently with this one. I was lent this book, Seven Sisters by Lucinda Riley. Is it better on that side? Doesn't matter. It's a series of 6 or 7 books about these women who've all separately been adopted by this eccentric mega rich guy who's recently died, and all these books are like telling the backstory of these women, or telling you how they find out their own backstory. And I would call that very much a mother-in-law book, and by that I mean the sort of books that when my mister goes off to visit his mum, she will quite often send him back a bag load of books to pass to me. Sometimes I like them, but I have to be in the really have to be in the mood for them. They kind of tend to be sort of light romance kind of books, and I'm not in the mood for it at the moment. That one didn't really appeal to me. I mean, like everything, you could see all the plot coming a mile away. So yeah, not that great. So I go back to the woman at the knitting group, and I didn't actually say I didn't enjoy it because she's so nice. But I'd given her a book. I gave her Elif Shafak's The Island of Missing Trees, and she really didn't like it, and she'd passed it on to some of her friends and none of them had liked it, so I shouldn't have felt bad really about giving back her book. She's offered to lend me all the other books in the series, and they're chunky, they're like 400 odd pages, but I basically said thanks, but I need a break in between reading big chunky books, and I've since found out that they're available. My local library has you can borrow audiobooks and they've got them, so I might just say to her, if she brings it up, I'll just say to her, I'm actually listening to the audiobooks. So she doesn't watch this, she doesn't watch any YouTube podcasts, so she won't know that. But if on the off chance she does, I'm really sorry that I've deceived you, but yeah, it turns out it wasn't my cup of tea, and it was silly of me to not just come out and say that. I don't know, but it's into me sometimes. A book I really enjoyed was T.M. Logan's The Curfew. I really enjoy T.M. Logan books. They're, if you don't know them, they're sort of mystery drama-y type books, full of twists and turns. You never really, I never guess the ending. There's only one of his, which was Trust Me, which is about a woman who a stranger gives her baby on a train, and it just, not one part of that to me rang true. So didn't enjoy that one, but every single one of his other books I've really enjoyed, and The Curfew's a cracker. It's basically sort of an end of term teenage party where some of the teenagers go off, they've got like a den in the woods like teenagers do, and where they go and smoke fags and drink a bit of vodka and do very mild teenage rebellion things. So a group of about 5 of them, I think, goes up to the woods, but only 4 go home, and it's all about the sort of investigation into what has happened to this teenage girl. And the main character of this book, it's his son who the finger is pointed at, and it's just the awful impact that has, and didn't he, what's really going on. And I really enjoyed that. That was a bit real page turner. I also read on audiobook, I listened to, where is that? The Passengers by Will Ashton. This is really good. This is a collection of, this is the sort of thing that I listen to when I'm making dinner. I hate making dinner. I see no joy in the kitchen. So I always have music or an audiobook on in the background, and that one is this selection of like snippets from like little interviews with people. Some of them are like only like a minute or so long, some of them are a bit longer, but none of them are more than say probably 5 or 6 minutes, and it's just things that people decide they want to tell you about, and it could be like a little anecdote from their life, it could be like a sort of confessional thing. I mean, that could be sad, that could be funny, and there's tons of them. There must be 80 odd of them in this book, and it's just, I don't know, I just find people interesting. But the good thing with it is, because it's the audiobook, also the author doesn't want you to be able to identify anyone, so there's no names, nothing stated at the start of each snippet about whether, you know, where they're from, their gender identity, nothing. Sometimes it's kind of revealed in the interview itself, and it's the same person that narrates it all the way through, and she doesn't do accents or anything. So I just found it really interesting, because people are super interesting. And my last book is a stinker, Gaveston by Stephanie Merritt. I don't really have anything, I mean, this is quite a bleak story. It is well written, and it's her first book, so I don't want to judge her too harshly on this. It's about a woman who, her dad's died and he's left her quite comfortably off, and she's kind of like the eternal student. She's doing a PhD, doctorate, who cares, whatever, some sort of Oxbridgey type university, and her uncle is a big media magnate type, and with pots of money, and he decides he wants to have a facility built kind of in his name, and he appoints his own principal, and it was all a bit just a vanity project, and it gets everyone's backs up, and everyone's a bit miffed with her because the family connection, and they think it's, you know, she's been favoured, and he appoints his own guy, and this guy is an absolute pig. He's horrible, and for unfathomable reasons she falls for him. She ends up a bit obsessed with him. There's like a plot twist supposedly that you can see coming from pretty much page 1, and it's all bleak. There's not one page where someone's enjoying themselves in this book, and don't feel it. There's also the reason I probably wouldn't read another one of hers is there's a sexual assault, quite a graphic sexual assault scene in this that is entirely unnecessary. It's done to like blunt object hammer home the twist that everyone can see coming anyway, and it's not needed because you can see what's going on without the character doing that. It's just not necessary, and why she carries on being infatuated with him after that, I don't really know. I suppose there is the thing of being in a bad relationship and just sticking with it no matter what, but it's don't bother. Maybe her other books are probably better because she's a good writer. She does write well, she does tell a story, but it's not for me, and I don't think I'd bother looking at her out for another one. And I've only got that one because I used to work for the publisher, and that's a proof copy, because we used to get like 2-3 books a day. There was a shelves where you could just go, and I did, and I've still got loads, and it's a very long time since I worked there. So yeah, the fact that I didn't buy that one probably means I'm not going to seek out, actually hand over any money for one. I've been listening to, I always listen to The Archers. I love that. Got into that when I used to work for Dame Sandra Rhodes. She loves The Archers, and I gave it a listen. And I mean, it all goes quiet at 2:15, 2 o'clock to 2:15, so she can listen in the studio. I don't think they're doing grief very well. One of the main characters, Jennifer, died recently, and she was a really pivotal character, a really big character. But none of the family seem that upset. I mean, they have like fallings out and niggles about it, and you know, you can see that it's causing some stress and worry, but there's none of that hammer blow of grief about it. No one's cried, no one feels devastated by the loss, and there's none of that kind of feeling that, you know, that you get with grief sometimes where you just think, I can't see the point in putting one foot in front of the other. They all just seem to be getting on fine. So I'm not a little bit disappointed with that. I'm also not massively keen on the Rob Titchener storyline. I don't think they're doing that brilliantly well either. I don't know. I don't really get the Helen Lee relationship a lot of the time. I think I just don't feel like the writers on The Archers have really got it at the moment. But the grief thing, I think, is really not working brilliantly well. Oh, I've got to say, and I should have said this right at the start, I want to say a massive thank you to Ali from the fantastic Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. She had her 100th episode recently, and she kindly gave a shout out to lots of other podcasters, and I was one of them. But being a complete dipstick, I forgot to give her any kind of meaningful blurb to tell her what my podcast was about. But still, people have come over to have a look and join me here, and I'm really, really grateful. Really grateful to those people, and I'm really grateful to Ali for mentioning me. And if you don't listen to her or watch her podcast, I think you should. She also has her personal daily life one, which is called This Wonderful Life, I think. But yeah, I watched really the crafting one, and she's one of my favourites. That's one that I don't miss. And I watch everyone. I'm subscribed to everything, and I miss quite a lot because I'm subscribed to so many. Sometimes episodes pass me by, but I will make an effort to watch hers because she's in Kent, which is only a couple of counties along, and my sister lives in Kent, and it kind of just makes me think of her a bit as well. And I just like her style, and I like what she does. She's a really nice person, and the family and everything. talks about interesting things, and she goes and does stuff, and I don't really like leaving the house. Well, I do and I don't. I've kind of, since I moved away this far out, I used to pop into London quite a lot. I don't really do that now, and now that we've moved from a flat into a house with a garden, I really like just sort of sitting out in the garden with a book and a cup of tea, which is what I'm going to do immediately after this. I've got a couple of bits to show you that I made for my shop. This is a new colour, Snood. I'm putting this denim blue because it's got that kind of like faded denim look. I love that. And I think that's an acceptable way to do double denim, because if you had jeans on and you had this on, there's no Clarkson vibes, are there? None at all. So that's in my shop already. I thought I'd completely run out of this. I just found another ball of it, and this makes you think of those sort of like rainbow sugar puff things. Super happy with that. I think I've shown you these before. I finished another set of project bags. That's the large, that's the medium. This fabric here is from that charity shop, so this is all fabric that would be saved really from going to landfill. And well, the contrast fabric actually comes from, there's another fabric shop here that also sells curtains, and in their remnants bin they had this lovely silky curtain lining. It looks all silky and like it would ladder if you look at it wrong, but it's tough old stuff. And they've all got pockets, like 3 pockets, a big one and 2 smaller ones for all your doings. So yeah, that was from the remnants bin. This is from the charity shop, so that's fabric that could well have ended up in landfill, I think, but now is in my project bags. And spot if you buy the small one, the stripes go in the other direction, because it's really, you're buying just like little remnants and odds and ends of fabric in there. So I didn't have enough of that to do that one the same direction as the others. So yeah, just bear that in mind if you see these in my shop and you want one that the small one, the stripes go up, and the others, the stripes go across. And I didn't even realise I'd done, because I've cut fabric out for loads of bags ahead, and then I just started doing them, and then it's only after I made it up I thought, oh yeah, that was the one. Anyway, my next one, my project for this week, is this. And again, this is from the fabric shop, so this is new, the contrast is new fabric. This fabric is from the charity shop, so that's recycled, upcycled fabric, and the lining in this one is again the curtain shop remnants, and that's a sort of purple satin. Oh, it looks quite navy blue here. What is it more? It is kind of a navy going, it's got a sort of gradation of colour in it, so it's sort of, look, you can see a little bit here on the pockets where it starts doing a sort of ombre into like purple. So yeah, I can't guarantee exactly what shade will be in a bag if you buy one of those rose ones, because it does change a little bit. And that's that for the bags and the snoods. I mean, they're the newest colours that I'm doing at the moment. We went to Goodwood to the members meeting, which I kind of think of as Festival of Speed Light. A really good fun day. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, isn't it? We had a great day. Andy's more, the mister, he's more into motorsports than I am, but I like all the kind of old stuff, and they had a race of Edwardian cars, and honestly some of them just look like a bathtub with wheels on, but they're like that really early racing cars. They've got no safety features, and these guys are just like flinging them, I mean they're racing them around the track, and it was so much fun. And the mister wasn't even that interested in watching that race, because I was like, he was like, are you sure you want to watch that? And I was like, absolutely. And that ended up being the race that he enjoyed most in the day as well. So I definitely recommend that when that's on again. I think it's usually probably around early May. Danish, not really sure. We didn't take food with us, but if you are on a budget, they're totally happy for you to take your own picnic. So if you were on a more of a budget, I would take your own little picnic hamper. We had loaded fries, which were absolutely delicious, but they were £13 a portion. It's quite a lot of chips. Well, they were loaded, and they were, I mean, you got a lot of them, and it was delish. But just bear that in mind. And there's a lot of walking, so I twisted my ankle the day before we went, so that wasn't ideal. But I still, you know, there's managed to get around. And there's also, like, they have this kind of like shuttle sort of tractor bus, trolley bus thing kind of that goes around. So you don't need to walk around the whole thing if you don't want to. You can just hop on and off this thing that's a freebie that's going around all the time. So, I mean, so that was fine. And my twisted ankle wasn't horrible. It was like more niggly than horrible. But there's so much to do there that isn't, you know, just watching the racing. There's tons to do. So we really enjoyed that. I finally managed to get vouchers out of the Mayflower Theatre in Southampton. I had bought 2 tickets to go and see Annie with lovely Paul O'Grady in, and I bought them only because he had bought one of my snoods as part of his outfit and his costume, and sadly he died, and I only wanted to see Paul O'Grady wearing one of my snoods. That's no interest in seeing Annie whatsoever. Not into it. So yeah, I left it a bit after he died and contacted them and said, is it possible to have a refund please, because obviously, and they just did a point blank no, the show's still going to go on, we're just going to find someone else to take his place, and basically tough luck. And I was like, oh okay, and I explained that the reason why is because of this, could you have a rethink? And they basically just said tough luck. And then I thought, oh, great, so I don't want it's a fair enough trek from where I live to go there, and I wasn't really, I thought I just can't be bothered, we're just going to lose the money, aren't we, and we're either going to have to sell the tickets or just lose money. And they weren't cheap, they were like, for 2 tickets it was like £100. So I thought, I left it till about a week before, and I just thought I'll just send them one more email, and I sent them an email, and then thank goodness she said in the end, oh, we've decided now that people who feel particularly affected by the loss of Paul O'Grady can be offered vouchers instead. So that's what I've got. I've got 2 years to use them. Do feel a bit like their customer service was a bit rubbish. So I've now got to find something else that I want to watch there. I'll probably go for some sort of matinee thing. And I've got 2 years to use them. I mean, I've been looking on their website, and so far I can't find anything I want to go and see. But I doubt that once I've used those vouchers, I don't think I'd bother booking anything with them again, because I just feel like when something goes wrong, they didn't really behave brilliantly well, and there are other theatres nearby that I could go to instead. So yeah, I'm one of those people, if I get bad customer service somewhere, I don't go back. I just don't. There's a shop not a million miles from here where I got really bad service from, and although what they do is fantastic, they've lost me. We also we had a bit of a disaster. We went to I love a farmer's market. I love spending way too much money on brioche and focaccia that I could get much cheaper closer to home, but little independent traders, love all that. So we went to Southsea to the farmer's market. Turns out it clashed with the Alresford Watercress Festival. So all the usual traders had gone there, and when we got there, we'd planned this whole day. We were going to have lunch out, we were going to have a mooch around, and it was going to be lovely. We were going to come home with armloads of food. And then when we got there, were like 5 stalls. Nothing that I particularly, I mean, there was a stall that sold nothing but tomatoes, but they were really expensive. They were a box of tomatoes, like a box like that big of tomatoes, was like £12, like not deep either, like that kind of. So a decent amount of tomatoes, but £12, wow. So yeah, I didn't actually buy anything from the farmers market, so that was a bit of a disaster. But then the other week there was the spring fair at Petersfield, which is in the opposite direction, so that's not too bad. We managed to go to that and buy lots of too many bread products that we then had to like stuff our faces with non-stop to get through them, and stuff in the freezer. So yeah, why am I buying fresh things that are quite expensive just to put them in the freezer? I don't know, doesn't make sense, but we did enjoy it, and I bought some really nice earrings and things there from independent people, and that was a nice day too. The only thing was they had like this whole like bandstand bit with like live music, and the missus just wasn't interested at all in sitting down and watching anything. So I did feel a bit like, well, we could have gone to any like bakers then, really, couldn't we? I mean, the whole point surely was to spend the day there, and we were probably out of there within an hour and a half. So yeah, good and bad there. Future plans, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to join in with Louise Tilbrook's Sassy Stripes cow. Started yesterday. I don't know what the end date is. I tried to have a look for it, I couldn't find one. And maybe it's just like a whole summer thing. So you basically just knit any of her patterns, and I've got a few anyway, but do them with stripes, and it's just quite a sort of free and easy thing. And I've already got the Fussery Festival shawl pattern and the PPS, and I was going to do the PPS, the larger version, but then I was thinking about it, and I was thinking that out of my shawls I probably wear the Fussery Festival shawl more, so that shape probably works better for me. So I'm probably going to do that. And as much as I said before I don't like scrappy projects, I have got some scraps of yarn that I could use in stripes for that. Don't mind using scraps when they go in a striped project. Don't know, probably will, probably, because it would use some bits up, wouldn't it? See, I'm going to do that, even though I said absolutely that I wouldn't. And apart from that, I haven't really done anything, been anywhere, seen anyone. It's been quite a quiet month, really. So all that's left to say really is thank you very much for sticking with me. Oh my goodness, I've gone over an hour. I'm definitely going to go. No one wants to hear any more from me. Thank you very much for sticking with me. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment and all that malarkey, and I shall see you again soon. Bye bye.